Hi guys, I'm Belton Lubas, one of the instructors under Datu Kelly, part of the NSI Brotherhood. I'm here with Datu today. I have a gym in Bellevue, the Warrior Strength Martial Arts. It's the I call it the East Side chapter, or the up there, the East Side chapter of NSI, among the other NSI guys that are out here, Canada, across the world. So
yeah, cool. Hey, Belton, thanks for coming down. Yeah, Justin, Sean, out there behind the scenes. Anyway, we're going to work a little bit of staff stuff, and if I can, I'll get a little bit more time. We'll translate some of it to walking cane just so it correlates. But also, a lot of people misinterpret why the staff is so beneficial for personal development, whether you're doing boxing, you're doing Wing Chun, or you're doing knife tactics. That was one of the unique things that Professor Prasis and I immediately connected on. I was doing staff in the 70s, 80s, and then when I met Professor Prasis in 1980, he was like, "Hey, you do the Sibat." And I goes, "What's Sibat?" And he's like, "It's Philippine Lampo." I goes, "Oh, well, that's really cool." Yeah, I guess so. And one of the nice things about that is once I got tuned into Filipino martial arts, there was a numbering system. Whereas in my staff work prior to that, it was Japanese, Okinawan, and Chinese weapon strategies. So I didn't really have a defined striking method or Sinwali patterns or even just a breakdown for how the system should fall together. And it was my meeting and connections with Professor Prasis as he kind of guided me. Well, you should do the numbering system, and your forms, some of them are very long, so you should make short forms to build the platform up. Okay, all really good. Sorry about the bad Filipino translation, but sometimes it is important to try to remember, try to recall exactly what it is your teacher said to you and how he said it. Because of the language barrier, a lot of important information was transferred through movement and through touch and through, do you feel that? Do you see that? Now, how do you think like that? And you're like, oh wow, how's that go? And so many of the first generation guys like myself that had Filipino, Indonesian teachers, we had to translate, like, what the hell is he saying? And then try to come up with how we would interpret it. And many times it's easier to say something for Professor in Tagalog than it is to explain it in English. And that's probably why the old term, just do, don't ask, just do it. So that was kind of the name of the game. But the Sibat is what he called it, and I was like, oh, okay, well, we could call that, since I'm really not teaching Okinawan Japanese karate, let me correlate it and formulate it into what Professor referred to as modern Arnese Sibat system. And you're the founder. I'm like, really? Can't find my shoes in the morning, but I'm good with that. I'll be the founder. So, any questions?
I just wanted to mention that even myself, having gone to the Philippines and trained with grandmasters, saying in how they said it kind of just brings a little joy in some of the memories. And so it's nothing wrong. I do that with my grandfather all the time. I kind of imitate because that's how you remembered it.
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with that. So it's just kind of just chuckling inside, because even when I imitate certain people I train with, or even my relatives and stuff, I say it the way they said it, because that's the way you received it. So to change it any other way would not be true to how you received it, if that makes sense.
Sure. No, it makes even more sense coming from a Filipino guy, since the white guy speaks. First of all, I speak bad English, so I'm all about Ebonics, white Caucasian Ebonics, but Filipino broken language.
But it makes it authentic.
Taglish, Taglish, and sometimes when I'm doing things and I'm explaining it, it's like, yeah, papa, do like that, and because that's how it was demonstrated to me, and so sometimes it's easier for me to become Professor Prasis sometimes in movement and verbal expression in order to activate that. Interesting enough too, when I get out on the floor, I always say it's once the adrenaline hits and get a little bit of euphoric energy, a lot better than when I start, sometimes I'm like this, do I want to train today? You know, do I want to train today? And it's like I'm wading into deep water, and then I just go, okay, I'm going to train today. And then I kind of do the same thing when I walk off. As soon as I step off the mat, it's like, oh my shit, God, you know, it's not a good thing. But you know, I'm relatively young, or should be considered relatively young for martial development and teaching, and so I want to maintain that as hard as it may be. Belton's helped me a lot with the Z Health and you know, a lot of physical therapy, but man, I've dumped thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars out of my own pocket trying to recover. I just want to know if the idiots that, you know, ran me over on my motorcycle, then rammed me in my Jeep, did they lose a day of work? Did they miss any time with their family? Any time with their friends? Did they go broke paying medical bills that weren't their responsibility? I doubt it. So please pay attention to motorcycles on the road. Please don't text while you're driving, because you could rear end somebody and put them into oncoming traffic, and then they'll get sideswiped and have a head-on collision. Am I pissed off about it? Yes, I am. But thankfully, if it wasn't for martial arts, I'd be in a lot more or a lot worse shape. So let's move on from there. Yeah.
Question.
Yeah.
So a while ago, when I first started with you, I was pretty excited. I was like, yeah, knife guy. I thought maybe Datu Kelly would tell me, you're the knife guy. And I said, where would you start? Where would I start? And I asked you, single stick, double stick. Where would you recommend a brand new student? And I was expecting something else, and you said staff.
Yeah.
So can you explain why you recommend to start with the staff?
Yeah,
Some people don't get
sure.
it. So.
Maybe it's kind of easier to demonstrate that. We got a training knife over there, maybe right there behind the, yeah, oh yeah, sure, I love the Vortex. Thanks, this is good. So we'll utilize the Vortex, but also sometimes, here, take that, I'm gonna step off and grab the spear. Yes, unfortunately, it's a Chinese spear. I had a Filipino design spear, and every once in a while things like that disappear. So, one of the things with knife is body mechanics and activating rotation and torso rotation. So this is my center line here. I want to carry through that motion. I want to do that with my legs, and it looks natural to be in a fighter's crouch, whereas in a bow, sometimes all you see is a very rigid, upright spine, and it looks amazingly cool. It's good staff kata is great. For me, it's about movement, and then we kind of go from there. So hopefully that makes some sense. When we look at putting the knife on the end of the tip or the staff, then we'll start showing how that spear correlates to knife movement in general.